But Sharon Grech is coming at you from the Cityline studio with a segment I'm really excited for. So, Sharon, we're talking about upcycling, which I love. Like, I love it when you do it. I don't do enough of it, but what I always wonder is how do you know if you're finding a great piece of decor or just a piece of junk? And that's why you're going to help us find the diamond in the rough. But first, why do you think these pre-loved pieces are so desirable these days?
Well, you know what, Tracy? I think that we're all looking for ways to make more sustainable choices in so many different aspects of our life. So when it comes to redecorating, what's better than keeping furniture out of the landfill, right? I think that that's a really huge motivator for a lot of people. And when you think about older items, they were just generally made with more superior materials. The craftsmanship was awesome. The design, they were really built to last. So for a lot of, especially the younger generation of people moving out on their own, maybe they're trying to save some money. It's a really great opportunity to reimagine a hand-me-down or even go out to all those beautiful spring antique markets that we can finally go back to and look for something that really speaks to you that you can personalize and bring into your space and, you know, give it a completely new life.
I got to admit, the older I get, the more I think everything my parents said was true. And I agree, the craftsmanship was better back then. So get those pieces and refurbish them. So take us through the pieces you've brought down and show us what we should be looking for. And let's start with that gorgeous credenza there, Sharon.
Yes. Okay. So Tracy, this is a pretty awesome piece. This belonged to my in-laws for over 40 years. I saw it many times, and I thought that it was as they were starting to downsize this piece. My father-in-law was kind of ready to get rid of because it wasn't going to fit in, and I couldn't just see it go to the curb. So much to my kids' dismay, because they looked at this and said, "I love it in Nono and Nona's house, but not in ours, please." But I could see through that. Like, I knew that I could turn it into something that would look wonderful in our house. So that is kind of a first tip when you're looking for pieces. Don't let the finish deter you, okay? Like, look beyond it. What you do want to look for, however, especially in wood pieces, is solid. Is the wood solid? Are you going to be able to stain it and paint it and do whatever you want to do with it? Bring your tape measure when you go to these markets, or even if it's a Facebook marketplace. Make sure that the piece is going to fit into your home, because, you know, a lot of these older pieces, Trace, they're not like flat packed. They're not going to be able to be reassembled and put back together in your house. So you got to make sure you can push it up the stairs and you have people to help you with that. So really, really important to think about that. And of course, is it solid wood? You know, I knew that this piece was not high-end walnut or cherry, but it was solid and I could do a lot with it. So that's really, really important. Veneers are wonderful. You can paint them, but a lot of sanding is really going to damage a veneer. So look for solid wood pieces.
Ooh, you got a good find there, and I love that you're going to repurpose that piece. And I know a lot of our viewers have pieces that are being passed down to them, so it's nice to see it get a new life. Really good. All right, let's talk about chairs now.
All right, so chairs, you know, they are a dime a dozen when you go looking at antique markets, and certainly even on Facebook Marketplace. And the reason is these older chairs were built really well. I mean, they were often built with hardwood, oak. This one, I think, probably was oak to begin with, but it's been painted since. So you want to look for pieces that are really sturdy with chairs. Like, take it down off the wall if it's on the wall. Sit on it. Make sure that it's good and sturdy. If it has some missing spindles, or that's something you might have a harder time fixing. If you take a look at this one, a previous owner fixed one of the spindles. I don't know if you can see which one's different.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, you know what's funny? A friend of mine owns this. I've looked at this for many, many, many years, and it was only now that I saw that. So paint can actually hide a lot of those things, but replacing it, you have to know what you're doing. You can easily fix some loose spindles just with some wood glue and a clamp, so that's an easy fix. But if it feels like it's falling apart, there's a broken leg or a broken spindle, that might be something that will put you off.
Okay, so many wicker chairs being left out on the curb. How do we know if we should take it or just leave it?
That's a really good question. You're so right. I have been so tempted to pick up some in the past, but if it is broken, if the wicker itself is broken, unless you're an expert basket weaver, I would leave that one on the curb because that is really hard to fix. What you want to be looking for is a solid frame. So this is like a 70, 80-year-old wicker piece. You can see it's still really sturdy because it has a solid hardwood frame. A lot of the newer ones have metal or steel, and that's really good too, but just make sure the wicker, whether it's a fiber or a rattan, is still in good shape, and then you can totally reimagine it with a new paint color, some new cushions, put it outdoors or indoors, and you can get a lot of life out of these good ones.
Beautiful. Okay, what about the coffee table there? It looks pretty current to me with its grade weathered wood. That's very in right now.
Yeah, you know what? It totally is. And this is a really good find. If you see something like this, it's got metal legs. It's got that nice weathered wood finish. You can easily use it for exterior product. You can use it for your exterior living room if you want, and use an exterior paint and stain, which I'll show you a little bit later. But looking for something lightweight like that with really good quality metal, and the wood you can do a lot with. So again, it's got a lot of life left in it.
Well, I can't wait to see what you do with these wood pieces because you're a pro, and you're going to show us later in the show how you can paint them. But let's talk about metal finds next.
Yeah, metal can be a little bit scarier because you're often going to see rust on older pieces. So if it's something that's just decorative, like this cute little vintage laundry hamper, the rust is kind of charming. It's sort of cute, but you want to look for something that it hasn't been eaten away. So you want to make sure the rust is just on the surface. If it's starting to eat away at the metal, you know, it's kind of going to destroy it. But something like this, you can just use steel wool or sandpaper and clean it all up, and then use a direct to metal paint and completely change it or just bring it back to its original glory.